Hello everyone, different voice for this month's ARC360 webinar. August's theme is Next Generation, and as the youngest member of the ILC team and graduate guinea pig, it made sense for me to host this one. The format we've gone with will be 3 pre-recorded interviews with young professionals from across the industry, where we'll find out a little more about them and how they got into the motor claims world, as well as some of their own experiences so far. We've got a good range of participants, with Adam Dalu from Carpenters Group covering the legal side of things, Elise Bell of Integral in technology, as well as Matt Turner from Gemini Accident Repair Centres. We'll get a young professional's insight into what's going right and what could be better in terms of attracting and keeping young talent, as well as what they'd like to see in the future. Should make for an interesting watch. As always, we'd like to thank our ARC360 corporate partners, Aditech Solera, BASF, BMS, CAPS, Copart, Emacs, Integral, Enterprise, Innovation Group, Mercer, Nationwide Vehicle Recovery Assistance, S&G Response and Sherwin-Williams. Our partners, Aztec Repairify, the Green Parts Specialist, Indasa and Prasco UK. And our industry body associates, Gemini, Trend Tracker and Thatcher Research. Without further ado, let's get into it.
As always, we like to issue our ARC360 disclaimer, so the views and opinions expressed during the following webinar are those of the individual contributors and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the contributor's employer, organisation, committee or other group or individual. Please respect any or all contributions and enjoy the show.
Hi Adam, how are you?
Yeah, very good, and you?
Yeah, very good. Are they keeping you busy over at Carpenters?
Absolutely.
Excellent.
And you?
So
Busy?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you busy as well?
Oh, non-stop. So you're a legal operations manager. Can you give us a bit of background on what that is?
Yeah, so basically what I do is I oversee sort of the recoveries teams and the credit hire team within the Carpenters department. So what I do is I basically look after the claimant side of things. So when an insurer cannot negotiate a settlement with another third-party insurer and they've adhered to a pre-action protocol, they usually then send the cases over to us to then look to put the third party on notice. If they don't pay the monies, we'll then move that case over to litigation. So we endeavour to try to settle a claim, pre-issue, adhere to the relevant pre-action protocols. But ultimately, when it gets to us, we kind of say, look, you've not paid, we're going to issue court proceedings, because litigation is the ultimate dispute resolution. You guarantee a resolution once you litigate, whether or win or lose. And I think it's good for both sides, for insurers, because defendant insurers want to close off reserves. And obviously, the insurers on the claimant side want to recover monies. So we're trying to make it as frictionless as possible. We try to, negotiate as much as possible, but the aim is to get the monies in if the third party don't pay.
So you get involved right at the end if things are involved?
Yeah, so most of our suppliers, they do attempt to negotiate settlement with their partners, and they do settle a lot of cases. But if there's any cases non-contentious or a certain insurer is not paying, we'll try and put them on notice. So listen, look, we want you to pay, but if not, we'll issue court proceedings on you. And it's really effective way, because we do issue quite a lot. We do issue in volume. I think the threat of judgment always gets the insurer talking, or a third party solicitor talking. And I work from both sides. I understand the both elements of it, but where right at the end of it, if you're not going to pay, we get instructed.
Yeah, very good. So how did you end up in the industry? How did you fall into it? Was this always your plan?
Do you know what? It was by luck, the motor side. I've always had an interest in law, business and economics. So I kind of studied that within college. I got really into law in college, so I thought I'd majored that in university. So I majored law in university, minored business and economics. So I was thinking about going to do my LPC after doing my law degree, and I just thought I want to get into work. I want to get some experience, some real life experience. So I just applied for some big law firms, local to where I live, and I got offered some recruitment roles within legal. But I thought, no, I want to try and to become a lawyer. And I fell into motor. I think for me is I wanted to study a reputable degree, law and business with a bit of economics, and then it fell into motor and credit hire. My first role, monitoring the hire, speaking to repairers. So it's by luck. It's by luck to get in the motor, but I've enjoyed it ever since.
You've never looked back?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No.
So has it been what you've expected when you fell into it, and then sort of moving on from there?
Yeah, it's been. I mean, I think what I've seen within the industry, it's very competitive, and it's very fast paced. And I think the competitiveness is really good because you grow, and it gives you edges, and you have arguments. At the end of the day, if you look at the GTA is really great, and it kind of takes away. It's healthy competition, but you look at it actually provides a frictionless resolution to claims. So it's good, like looking at reading the FAQs and the different points of the GTA. We could argue with your opponents, but ultimately if that doesn't work, you've then got litigation. So I think what I've seen with industry, it's really competitive, which is good. It does drive the right behaviours.
Yeah, great for efficiency, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So when you started to where you are now, what's the sort of the difference in your day-to-day role?
Yeah, I feel like it's always been. So at the start of it, I was pre-issue. I used to monitor hire to ensure. So I think you've got the case log clerk of Ardington. I think, and when you look at the GTA, you've got to monitor the hire and provide updates if you want to ensure that the period is recoverable. So I started off with basically like paralegal duties, monitoring the hire, chasing up for settlement. And then I progressed into a fee earner role where you look to negotiate outstanding credit hire charges, repairs with the opponents. I did that, I think, for about altogether pre-issue for about a year and a half. And then I moved up to litigation. So litigation is when you've exhausted all avenues of a pre-action protocol. I know the GTA is not a pre-action protocol, but it's the next best thing. So it then moves up to litigation. So I was a defendant litigator. So when I moved up, so that's when third parties would sue us, and I then look to see what's recoverable, what's proportionate, and then make offers. The good thing about litigation is it comes to an outcome because you come to trial, and it's full and final.
It's either going to be one or the other. So when you say you're a defendant, which was there a side that you were always on? Were you always on the side of the insurer or always on the side of the third party?
So as a defendant, I was on the side of the insurer, but on the opponent side, you could be on the side of the opponents could be a credit hire company, but usually it can be instructed from both sides of the insurance. So when I was a defendant, my clients were insurers.
And have you always defended the insurance, or have you been on the other side of it ever?
So now I'm on the claimant side of it now.
Ah, right, okay. Sorry, I'm still catching up with the terminology.
Yeah. No, so obviously you got the claimant defendant side. So you can have a claimant. An claimant a supplier an insurer who wants you to recover, say, uninsured losses or subrogated losses, and then you could be defending the insurer where they're getting sued for credit hire or repairs. So it's just about assessing what's the merit. Basically, when you're on both sides, it's very similar. It's what's the merit of that case. So you need to see what's reasonable, and there's always a reasonable test. And to ensure that the losses are recoverable, you've got to back it up with documented evidence. So no matter how good or strong your argument is, it's all down to evidence, and you've got to, put your submissions to the judge or to counsel to say, look, this is why we think this case is worth X amount, and that's always be backed up by documented evidence.
So when you joined Carpenters. Was that the initial firm?
No, my initial firm was a big defendant law firm. Previous.
So when did you move to Carpenters, and what attracted you?
Yeah, so I think 4 years ago I moved over to Carpenters, and they were opposite. They were the claimant side. They were a big. I think Carpenters, a lot of their suppliers and clients are insurers. I was looking to qualify, and I thought I'd give it a try. I'd done defendant thing for about 5 to 6 years, and you kind of build up rapport with your opponents on the other side.
Yeah,
so I think it was good time. I think it was a good time to try it, and I always noticed the best lawyers we want the lawyers who had both exposure to the claimant and defendant side, and it gives you a good insight. For me, is the best case is a settled case. So it's great having an edge, having a legal argument, but you want to build a relationship with your opponent because you're in that industry for the long term. So it's finding that middle ground to get an outcome. because you speak to it, most of the suppliers and insurers, they just want these cases settled. You know, obviously you do get your disputes and you've got to follow your client's instructions, you know, the actual driver. But ultimately, you know, you want to achieve an outcome, and it's building a relationship with the other side. So I think it was a good time to, you know, move over to the claimant side.
Is that a common thing? Do people tend to start on one side, move to the other, and is it trying things out? Was it a sort of clear and obvious path, or was it one that you were kind of going against the grain with, do you feel?
It's a blend, you know, it's a blend. There's a lot of people who've just been independent, you know, forever. I say on the claimant side, and what I've seen is there's no harm on both sides, but I do feel like when you've got both sides, you can have a clearer picture. You can see both sides, and it's having the ultimate wisdom. You know, being the all-seeing eye, you can appreciate both outcomes, and it does give you an edge a bit, because you can assess risk, because you've understood the defendant side. And on the claimant side, you can assess risk. So, in my opinion, I think it's really valuable to have both sides of experience.
Yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? It's experience. You've seen both sides. You know exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
So if you were to go back and talk to yourself at the start of your career, or just kind of go back through, would you do things exactly the same? Would you change anything? Would you move to carpenters earlier?
Yeah, I think I'm glad of the way I've done it, and I think you've always got to be yourself. And I think the big things have definitely changed. I mean, working in the industry, you're always looking at you know what you can do next. And I think the best way to grow is slowly. You know, take your time. You're constantly looking at, you know, what you do next, even with this next case. And you sometimes you forget to enjoy the process. So as I got older, I'm enjoying it rather than thinking, oh, you know, what I'm going to do next. And I think just take your time, enjoy. You know, enjoy. When I was in pre-lit, I always wanted to be in litigation. That was always my goal, to get into litigation. But I think looking back, the pre-lit side of it, looking in the GTA, the terms of agreement, the GTA, the ABI GTA, it's given me a really good foundation, because we still use that agreement to this day on reasonableness. So I think, you know, take your time. I think right at the start of my career as well is, I'm not saying you're scared of making decisions, but you want to get everything right. And sometimes it's trial and error. So you might assess too much and not make a decision, but you want to be efficient. You know, it's very fast paced, our industry. So make a decision, stick with it, and learn if it doesn't work out. You know, don't dither on a decision. You've got to be really efficient and make decisions. And I think as I've, you know, matured, I've got better at that. Maybe, you know, starting my career, I was assessing everything, you know, worrying what's going to happen next. Because when you work in legal, things can go wrong in litigation. It's great that I had that, you know, that kind of awareness. But as you mature, you want to be more efficient and make decisions very quicker.
Yeah, and I guess that will come with experience as well. When you were in your sort of starting out, did you feel afraid to make those decisions? And was that a culture thing? Do you think that's something that the industry could work on maybe?
I've been really lucky with the firms I've worked for, and I've only worked for 3 firms in over I think it's over 8 years now. Is you get that support. It's more about I think if you look at litigation, there's directions that you've got to adhere to. So if you miss a direction, there's usually sanctions for missing direction. So you learn from your mistakes, and I was quite lucky. I think I only made 1 or 2, you know, early mistakes within litigation in my career, but you soon learn from them, because you've got to do an application for relief under CPR 3.9, and you have to quote case law like Denton and Mitchell. You've got to put your case to the court and the judge to say why you made this mistake. So you want to ensure that you're doing it for the customer and the client. You want to ensure that you provide a really good service. So I think it was good to be apprehensive and get the things right. But as you get more experience, you know how things work, and you become more organised, I think decision making is key.
Yeah, so it just gets easier as you go along. So it sounds like you've learned from your mistakes more than you've learned from other people within the industry or people within your company. Did you have any mentors coming up through that have taught you, you know, what you need to know?
Yeah, I definitely had mentors. I think you look at people who do well. For me, is you want to add. If you look at a individual or a peer, and they have a good skill or ability, you want to add that to your armory. So, and some people who may not do things too greatly, you may want to say avoid doing that. And I think for me is, I won't want to name any names, but there's quite a few, and they probably know who they are from both sides. Is I think being a good communicator. I think with our business is negotiating a settlement. And if you're a good communicator and you understand a position, it's more than likely that you can find a resolution or outcome on that. And I think what I've seen from my peers is being a good communicator. It's one of the best advice I could ever see is become a good communicator. You could have the best degree, you could go to town on every legal argument, but you're just going to cause friction if you want to get into every argument. So know your battles, when to push it when you have a really good case, then push on. If you don't have a good case, learn to let go, learn to accept that a case is only worth what it's worth.
Yeah, so just picking and choosing your arguments. Again, I guess it all comes down to experience and that learning curve that you've had.
It's fair exchange. It works both ways. You'd be naive to think that every case is a great case. Don't get me wrong. When you have a case where you don't have good prospects, the prospects are not as good as the opponents. You find ways how you can maximise your arguments. At the same time, is you need to be a realist and ensure that no matter how much effort and resource you put into that case is only worth. So you want to get that outcome quickly, and then you can move on to better prospect cases. So it's just being efficient in what you're doing and not holding on to arguments what you're not going to win in the end.
Yeah, definitely. So just coming back to that mentor point. As you get older and more senior within your firm and within the industry, would you like to put in place a more structured mentorship program, or do you think it's something that has to come about organically?
I think a bit of both. I think you've got to lean on your leaders, because without the people, you're not got a business. It all comes down to the people, and you've got to keep your people motivated and look after them and keep them skilled, and you've got to aspire. So I think you've got to lean on your leaders, your managers, your team leaders, your technical supervisors to kind of inspire, people who are entering the industry. But I think not only that, you've got to give your people the right training and development, because somebody could see somebody, I don't know who's made a lot of moves within the business, but they need the right development and training. It's no good just speaking, so you need to give them a development path. And I think every industry, every firm that I work for has had that. It's quite good within legal. You get that development, and there's a lot of career paths for people to take. And a lot of, especially within carpenters, we promote within. We foster our own, and we kind of show what different avenues you can take to maybe qualify as a lawyer. Whether it be going down the SRA, LPC route, SQE, or you go down the SILEX route or solicitor apprenticeship. So it's just kind of seeing what that individual wants and needs. But I think going back to your question about mentoring, is you've got to have people, and it doesn't have to be a leader, or it could be somebody who's doing real well within the team. It's just kind of seeing who's good for the firm, and then giving them some responsibility to say, look, you may want to have a speak to this individual who's quite struggling, offering them support. But absolutely, you need mentors and leadership within a business, because how are you supposed to expand and grow? Yeah,
absolutely. And how are you supposed to have the next lot of leaders coming up through it? And that's really interesting about carpenters hiring from within. I think that's a great culture to foster, just to show people where they can be.
It works both ways. And again, going back to fair exchange, we want to reward people who work hard. And not only that, we can see the people who put the effort in. But it's that old cliche, how is somebody able to get that experience without given the opportunity? So, it's great on looking elsewhere, but that person can deliver. And I think for me, is what I've seen within the industry and within working with a team and now moving up to management, is people with the right attitude can do the job. You've just got to give them the right training. So if someone's got the right attitude and they have the right behaviours, we can easily learn them to move up to the next role. So it's just fun. And that, don't get me wrong, we still look elsewhere a bit, but predominantly we do promote within.
No, that's great. And then just a final one, please.
Yeah, okay.
If you could give any advice to your younger self, what would it be? Or to someone who's just starting out within the sort of motor legal claims?
I think you've got to be patient. It's patient because you're always looking. So if you look at people within the industry that I know, a lot of people have only qualified as solicitors maybe after they're 30, but they're quite senior within their firms now, even like almost at partner level. And I think when you come straight out of university, everybody wants to become a lawyer, which is great. We want that as also, but get your experience, get your legal experience. take your time, because it will come. It will come. It's just taking your time, and sometimes you put yourself through hurt, just chasing this goal rather than enjoying the process. And I think for me, what I've seen is experience is key. It really is. So just be patient. I think that'll be the.
Be patient.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. Thanks very much, Adam.
No worries. Thanks, Harry.
Okay, so Elise, how are you? What's happening at Integral?
I'm good. Thank you. A lot of exciting things coming up. Some new business that we've won recently. But yeah, it's all going on. So yeah, everyone's very busy at the moment, which is good.
Busy is good. And you're an account specialist.
I am, yes.
What does that mean?
So I'm the one that looks after the accounts once they've gone through kind of delivery stage of things. So obviously once we've kind of won the business, goes through the delivery stage, everything gets delivered, I suppose, and then yeah, we take over the account. So any kind of questions, queries, managing the account, looking into the application, kind of consultancy based working, kind of seeing how we can help them a little bit more. So
your sort of post sales.
Yes, yeah.
And a typical day-to-day will look like for you going out and visiting people? Are you mainly online, or are you in person as well?
On person and online. So yeah, we try and kind of visit the accounts as much as we can. A lot of kind of Zoom, Teams calls, as everyone's had recently. But yeah, it's nice to get out kind of face to face, go and visit the accounts, and just have those kind of meetings.
Definitely. So how did you start out in the industry? Did you come through the enterprise management scheme?
I did, yeah. So I graduated university, and then I was actually at a careers fair at my uni, and Enterprise were there. Got talking to them, and then went through the interview process and went on to the graduate management trainee scheme.
So what about Enterprise attracted you? Was it just that day? Was that the first time you'd heard of them, or was it something that you've been thinking about before?
Yeah, I'd obviously heard of them before. They're pretty big. So yeah, I've heard of them before, but not in terms of career-wise, I suppose. I think the people attracted me the most at that kind of stage of being at the careers fair. But the management trainee scheme was great. It was, you learn every kind of aspect of a business. You get to run your own business. The career progression was the thing that probably interested me the most. So yeah, overall, the trainee scheme offers a lot.
So would you say there was a sort of clear plan for you through that management scheme and then beyond that, or was it sort of a very set out structure and then you go off and find, yourself what you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, probably both. You have a very structured career path through Enterprise. So, you do the graduate scheme, you kind of take an exam at the end about kind of every aspect of the business, and then you can then go for your promotions. So that can be, managerial in the rental branches. You can kind of go off on different paths of kind of remarketing. Loads of different aspects within Enterprise. But it sets you up for anything really in the future, which is great.
So which route did you take?
So I did was on the trainee scheme, went up to assistant manager, branch manager, and then from branch manager then went into Integral, where I am now.
Yeah. So what prompted that move?
I think I'd seen the job advertised, as Enterprise do. There's a lot of jobs that are on offer all the time, which is great. Obviously, it was an internal thing, so I saw it. I think I've learned from being in Enterprise and being in the rental branches what my skill set was and kind of what my strengths were. So I think account management was something that I really kind of wanted to get into. So yeah, it kind of just led from there, really.
So Integral, you only promote from within the Enterprise system?
There is external as well. Obviously, with Integral's huge. You've got kind of your developers, your delivery teams, your product owners, things like that in the background as well. But a lot of the people that I work with have come from Enterprise.
And so you work with obviously a lot of people that have come through the enterprise scheme, and then you work with some people that haven't.
Yes.
Can you tell a difference straight away between the two?
No, I personally don't think so. I think it's more about the person. I always used to say when I was at work that you can teach someone to do a job, but you can't teach someone your work ethic, your ambition, your drive, and things like that. So I think, I think enterprise gives you that really great background to go into it. But in terms of the people that work in Integral, they've all got great skill sets and are great additions to the company. So.
And you think that's a culture thing that's being brought out through the hiring process?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
That's good. So in terms of sort of training and support since you've left the management scheme, how much is Integral doing for you? And do you feel that that's enough? Do you feel that they're providing what you need and the sort of, how do you put it, the means to your next goal?
Yeah, definitely. I think with Enterprise and Integral, they've both got that very much training, development, mentoring side of things going on. So I think the training and support that I've had from Integral has been great. All of the people I work with from, I suppose, when I first came in to now, they are so helpful. Such a friendly bunch of people that I work with. So in terms of the support and training, it's great. Having colleagues based in the UK and America as well, you've got that kind of all-round time zone in case you do need anything in the kind of later evenings as well, which is good.
That is good. So you said about mentors there. Is there anyone you can think of that's had a big influence on your career, and sort of what have they helped you with exactly?
I think I've only been with Integral for a year, but I have got I suppose a off the record mentor, I suppose, within Integral, and I had a lot within Enterprise as well. We kind of got designated mentors in Enterprise, which was great. And I think just having that person there that isn't your line manager, that doesn't work with you on a regular basis, to be able to communicate with, if you personally and professionally, within both, I speak to them about. So I think having that person there just to be able to communicate any problems, any issues, everyone's their individual person. They've all got different ways to answer things or different ways to see things. So it's good to get a different view on them as well.
How did the mentoring, so you said it was a structured thing, so you got assigned someone?
Yeah, because I was in Enterprise, we did like a women in rental as well, so it's very female orientated as well, trying to bring kind of the young female crowd through as well. So I got a mentor that was kind of a level 3 above me, and everyone else kind of branch manager level did as well. Just again, someone to talk to that wasn't your direct line manager, which is great.
So would that be you have that one person and you're the only person they're mentoring, or would they have a few other people that they're looking after as well?
I think mine had 2. So they got to spend a lot of time with just the 2 of you, basically, if you ever needed anything, which was nice.
Nice to have someone there, definitely.
Yeah, 100%.
Integral's quite a young company, isn't it, in terms of the people that I've met?
Yeah, I think our sales team are pretty young. You've got myself, Ruth, Miles and Sam, who are all kind of under that 30 barrier. Well, I've just turned 31, but we're all quite young, which is great. It's good to see Integral pushing that. It's something that a lot of companies you don't see,
definitely. So is that by design, or is that just happened to be that the right people for the roles have come along and they've happened to be under 30?
I think a bit of both, really. I think we've got a very diverse team within Integral, kind of, I suppose, that people don't see, that are not on the sales team, that are kind of a different ages, genders, etc. But I think it is something that Enterprise are looking at, trying to kind of push that kind of younger people to the forefront. It's great. They let us do the decision making, put processes in place, which is really, really good.
How beneficial is it to have those people that are younger and maybe have a different perspective in those decision making roles?
I think it's really beneficial. We work really well together. We bounce ideas off each other. I think, yeah, in terms of, as I said, like bringing new processes in place, having those big decisions, the big key decisions, being able to kind of impact those is great for us. Gives us more confidence as well, which is good. But yeah, I think it's a great thing, and Integral are really pushing it, which is great.
Yeah, and I guess it gives you the opportunity to make your mistakes and learn from them as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Not that you make any. But do you think there are any lessons that other companies can take from Integral, as in within sort of the hiring young people? Do you think that's a business model that other companies can and should be replicating?
100%, yeah. I think, might be repeating myself here, but yeah, I think with obviously this session being kind of based around the topic of next generation, I do think Integral has embraced that really nicely. I think the diversity in age, as I said, you don't see that everywhere, and the trusting in youth to be able to be at the forefront of the decision making is great. Integral gives my team especially the autonomy to make big decisions and impact processes, along with, as you've just said, like the presence at these big events that you guys kind of see Integral as us. So it's great.
Yeah, no, it is really good. So just the final one then, if you could give someone just starting out, so someone just out of uni like yourself was, or someone just getting into the industry, any piece of advice, what's the most important thing you would say to them?
Ooh. A bit of advice I actually had was probably what's the worst that can happen, and not in a funny way, but in terms of, I remember coming into some roles and I was really scared at the thought of not knowing the answer to something, and one of the people that gave me the piece of advice was, said, what's the worst that can happen? It's you take the question, you take it away, and you then go back with the answer, and no one's going to have any less respect for you for doing that. So I think, yeah, it's personal and in business life. I think what is the worst that can happen? Just go for that promotion. Go for that that question that needs to be answered, and take it away, and then go back to them. So yeah,
definitely. Thank you very much.
Okay, no problem at all.
So I'm here with Matt Turner. Matt, how are you getting on?
Very well, mate. How are you?
Very good, very good. So you're a previous apprenticeship at Gemini. What's your role now?
At the minute, it's the role's called, it's a multi-skilled accident repair technician.
And what are your skills in your multi-skilled accident repair technician?
Included in that, you've got your MET, so your strip and fitting and your mechanical, electronic kind of side of things. You have your panel beating, so you've got your major repairs, minor filler work. You've got painting and polishing, which is self-explanatory, and that's it really. You do your four-wheel alignments in MET, your jigging in panel. And I guess paint is just painting, isn't it, really?
Just painting.
Yeah.
So what's your split like between those different areas? Are you more specialised in one, or do you find that you have a fairly equal amount, or is it just dependent on what comes in?
I've always tried. The way that the apprenticeship's structured, you get an equal amount of time in each sector. So people are going to pick up on things quicker and slower depending on the person. Me personally, I've took to painting quite fast, but I wouldn't say I'm hindered in any of the other aspects. Just potentially a little bit slow to pick them up, but I'm still up there, I'd say. Good.
So how long have you been working for Gemini now?
It's been just over 5 years. I did 2 years at the start of my apprenticeship at the Rotherham site, and then I was given the opportunity to move sites to sort of be, I was treated as a fully skilled guy, even though I was still on my apprenticeship. But I was given that opportunity, a little bit more pressure, a bit more of a challenge, So it's been about 5 years. I've been here 3 years, and I started at Rotherham for 2.
So what do you think made them treat you like a fully skilled, fully qualified person? Is it just you're ahead of the curve, or is that a fairly normal progression?
I don't want to. I don't want to say I was ahead of the curve, but I'm more confident to sort of try things and, make my own resolutions to stuff before I start asking for help. And I think because of that, it made me seem as though I could achieve more. Not that I could, but I think I was a bit more confident than some lads.
All right, good. So when you decided to go down the apprenticeship route, what factors were influencing your decision? What made you want to be an apprentice?
Well, for me, I did an apprenticeship before this, and it was a bad experience. So at the end of that apprenticeship, I thought, right, I've got 2 choices here. I can go down the university route, or I can go for another apprenticeship. And I thought university is very stressful on your mind. You have a lot of things like you have debt to deal with afterwards, and the paperwork that you've got to do at university is astronomical. So, and I don't really work like that. So I thought I want to do something where I can sort of achieve by doing straight away, and I've got that security after the fact, and I know that I'm going to be within a job. And so I chose that just because I thought it'd make me happier. And I think I was right.
It sounds like you're right. What was your previous apprenticeship in?
I was in construction doing dry lining. The construction industry is very, I guess, old-fashioned in terms of they kind of use and abuse apprentices a little bit more. And I had a few bad experiences, which sort of made me think, right, okay, this industry is not going to work for me, so I need to do something that I'm actually interested in. So I chose cars because that's something that I really like.
So how does your Gemini apprenticeship compare to that construction one?
Oh, it completely eclipses it. Absolutely, there's no competition really. I've actually I've been provided with opportunities to sort of progress, and I don't have to stay at the bottom, if you like, at the entry level of the apprenticeship. You can go as far as you want, I guess, but whereas I didn't have that opportunity last time.
So it sounds like there's a bit more flexibility within the. And do you think that's a Gemini thing, or do you think that's across the body shop industry?
Well, I can't speak for other body shops because I haven't ever worked for one. But you can tell that Gemini actually value their apprentices as future technicians rather than just cheap labour.
Yeah, definitely. So when you were moving and when you skipped onto this apprenticeship, why did you pick Gemini over possibly other companies? Did you do much looking around, or was it that Gemini were?
I did. I remember being sat in a construction site canteen at about 5 o'clock in the morning, thinking, "No, I'm not doing this anymore." And I looked through. I originally was looking for painting apprenticeships, but I didn't want to get too comfortable in just one area. Anyway, Gemini came up, and I saw that it was multi-skilled, and I thought, right, okay, so I can't really add any more value to myself without taking a multi-skilled apprenticeship. Because if you just have one trade, then you've just got one trade. But on your CV, if you have all 3 trades, you're going to be better off, aren't you? So that's why I chose that.
No, definitely, that makes a lot of sense. So since you joined, there's been a clear path. You spend this amount of time in this block, and then this block, and then this block, and it all works around that way. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So I can't remember off the top of my head, but I believe it's a couple of months in each trade. So what you'll do is, you'll start in MET and you'll learn how to strip a car and how to rebuild a car, basics, nothing too complex. You'll spend a couple of months doing that, sort of getting the feel for it. And then you'll go into panel. So and you'll do the same in panel. Nothing too complex. This is in your first year, by the way. Nothing too crazy. You know what to look for in terms of what the painters want to see and what the quality of work that you're going to need to achieve. And then after that block, you go into paint, and then it all reverses again. Each time you're going a little bit more in depth, a little bit more. You're building your skills each time, and then by the end of it, you can pretty much achieve anything.
So how long is the apprenticeship in total?
It's a 3-year course, but in my case, it was 5 years. It was prolonged 2 years because of COVID and stuff.
Oh, right, okay. And then was it all practical based, or did you have some classroom and exam sessions as well?
No, we did block weeks at MTech College. And basically, we'd just spend a week, we'd learn all the theory side of things. We'd do a little bit of practical there, just putting things into practice, like repairing aluminium and stuff that you're not necessarily going to be able to put into practice at that time at work. So you might have a large job that you need to accomplish a task. You might not have that at work at that present time, so you'll do it at college because we know that they've got it there. So we do it in block weeks. Little bit of practical just to keep it in your mind a little bit, but mostly theory.
Right, nice. And then obviously you apply that on the shop floor.
Yeah,
so
you'll do exams and stuff while you're at college as well, so you don't have to take time out of your work to do that.
Yeah, I think that's the great thing about apprenticeships. It's all integrated and you're doing both, but still getting paid and still having that practical experience.
Yeah, that's right.
What bits have you found best in your apprenticeship, and what bits maybe do you think could be improved?
I don't think there's always going to be things you can improve on. I don't think anyone can ever be at the top of the game. I just don't believe that. The best that I've found is you're working with guys who have been doing the job for 15, 20, 30 years even, and it's taking what they've learned in all those years and using that for you to get 20 years experience faster. You're not going to get everything out of them, but you got to treat them as a book, and you got to read the book. They're not going to tell you everything they know. You've got to use them to your advantage. So that's what I really enjoy. Also, I've made friends from across the country in Wales, Scotland. So it's been really, really good. It's been great. I don't think I would have got that anywhere else.
No, and there's a massive thing to be said for mentorship within whatever industry you're in, is having that person or those people higher up with more experience that you can tap into. Can you think of any significant mentors off the top of your head that have taught you important lessons?
I think every mentor that I've had has taught that everybody's different. So you kind of got to get the best you feel of everyone, and if you do that, then you're going to be the best that you want to be, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
but I can't really name anyone right now because there's so many people. I'd miss everyone out,
So you won Apprentice of the Year last year, didn't you? What do you think set you apart from the others?
The others, as in the ones in the same apprenticeship or in the same competition?
In the same competition.
Okay, well, I just had a really good team. My training manager, he's excellent with sort of pretty much anything to do with like publicity and getting. He knows how to do the videos and all this stuff. So I think the most important part was a good team, and obviously, I'm just willing to just try, and just try and be the best I can be, and I guess that's all I can do. The rest is sort of it comes along, and you just got to do what you can do with that.
Definitely, very modest. And then last question, if you don't mind, if you could give any advice to someone starting out in an apprenticeship or starting out in the industry, what advice would you give them?
I'd probably just say you just got to push yourself as much as you can. Don't be afraid to mess up, because you learn so much faster by messing up. I know it's not a good. Everybody knows it. Once you mess something up, you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn what you did wrong much quicker. If you do something right every time, you're never gonna learn anything. You just know how to do it right. You know, you don't know how it's gonna go wrong. And that you could apply that across all apprenticeships. I don't think that just applies to accident repair.
Definitely. All right, thanks, Matt. That's great.
Cool.
See you later, Tat.
And of course, a huge thank you to the ARC360 corporate partners, Solera Audatex, BASF, BMS, CAPS, Copart, Emacs, Integral, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, Innovation Group, Merca, Nationwide Vehicle Recovery Assistance, S&G Response, and Sherwin-Williams, as well as our partners, Aztec, the Green Part Specialists in DARSA, Prasco UK, and our associate partners, GM&I Accident Repair Centres, Trend Tracker, and Thatcham Research. Take care, everybody, and I can't wait to catch up with you all very soon.